Hey everybody, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Today we're going to be diving into minimalism.
And specifically, we're looking at the idea of whether or not owning less stuff can actually make you happier.
And the best part is, our source material is actually written like a podcast script about simple living.
Talk about meta, right?
Okay, but let's unpack the core concept here.
We've all had that feeling where you think buying some shiny new thing is going to bring us like this lasting happiness, right?
That new phone, those stylish shoes.
We convince ourselves they're the missing piece in our lives.
And then a few weeks later, the shine wears off.
And we just feel kind of back to square one.
It's like that rush of getting, say, like noise-canceling headphones.
I was ecstatic for like a week or two.
And now they're just another thing I own.
That's the old hedonic treadmill in action.
We get a temporary high from new possessions, but our brains, they quickly adapt.
And soon enough, we're craving that next dopamine hit.
And what's fascinating is there's actually research out of the University of California
That found that lottery winners and accident victims?
they often return to their baseline levels of happiness within a year.
Wow.
It really highlights how fleeting those material highs can be.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's like our brains are hardwired to adapt.
Which just keeps us stuck on this treadmill of wanting more and more and more.
Precisely.
But here's where minimalism throws a wrench in the works.
It challenges us to step off that treadmill.
By recognizing that lasting happiness often stems from experiences,
Relationships.
personal growth,
Okay.
things that actually nurture a sense of fulfillment.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it can feel kind of overwhelming to think about, you know?
Like suddenly you had to get rid of everything and live in a white empty box.
I hear you.
The beauty of minimalism, though, is that it's not about deprivation.
It's about mindful living.
It's about making intentional choices about what truly adds value to your life.
So how do you even begin to approach this without getting overwhelmed?
The source mentions something about starting small. You don't have to turn your life upside down overnight.
Maybe you start by decluttering one drawer,
Unsubscribing from 5 email lists that no longer serve you.
or being more mindful of your social media scrolling.
Even small steps can create a sense of clarity and calm.
You mentioned being mindful of social media.
That brings up a good point.
It's not just about physical clutter, is it?
Yeah, it's so easy to let those inboxes overflow and the notifications just take over completely
It's true, we are absolutely bombarded.
with digital information constantly.
But the good news is,
Digital minimalism can be incredibly freeing.
and actually our source material.
It delves into some actionable steps you can take right away.
Oh, like what?
I'm all ears.
Well, for starters,
It recommends setting aside specific times
to check and respond to email.
instead of letting them interrupt your day constantly.
Right.
And when it comes to social media,
Maybe choose one or two platforms that you feel like bring you genuine joy and connection.
okay,
And consider maybe even like logging out of the rest,
it's all about setting those healthy boundaries.
right? Both in the physical and the digital.
Exactly.
It's about being mindful of what we allow into our space.
And into our minds.
Yeah.
And speaking of mindful consumption,
The source brought up a strategy that I think is really intriguing.
the one in, one out rule.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Tell me more.
Okay, so basically,
For every new item that you bring into your life,
you commit to getting rid of one item that you already own.
okay.
So let's say, for example, you're eyeing a new sweater.
With this rule in place, you'd need to be willing to part with an older sweater.
From your closet to make space for the new one.
That's a really interesting way to curb those impulse purchases.
Because it forces you to be a lot more intentional about what you're actually bringing in.
Absolutely.
It shifts your mindset from that, I want this, to like,
Do I need and value this enough to let go of something else?
right.
It really emphasizes quality over quantity.
And it encourages you to surround yourself with things that truly spark joy.
It's about being selective and making sure each new acquisition really earns its place.
Precisely.
It's about aligning your possessions with your values.
And this is where I think the concept of gratitude,
Becomes really powerful in the context of minimalism.
I was hoping we'd circle back to gratitude.
It's such a powerful force.
But it's so easy to forget about in the hustle and bustle of everyday life.
How does the source material say to incorporate that?
Well, it emphasizes that minimalism,
It isn't about deprivation.
but rather about appreciating the abundance.
That's already present in our lives.
So instead of focusing on what you're letting go of,
Shift your attention to the things you're grateful for.
okay,
The people you love
the experiences you've had, even the simple pleasures,
that bring you joy.
that really resonates with me.
It's like shifting from a scarcity mindset.
To an abundance mindset,
But how do we actually cultivate more gratitude?
especially when it comes to like our belongings.
One practice that the source suggests is taking a few moments each day
To appreciate the items that you use regularly.
Maybe it's your cozy bed.
A favorite coffee mug.
Or a comfortable pair of shoes.
I love that.
It's so easy to take those everyday things for granted.
And I think by taking a moment to acknowledge them
and appreciate how they enhance our lives.
It does help us cultivate that deeper sense of gratitude for what we have.
Exactly.
It's about finding that joy in the present moment.
Rather than constantly seeking out
external things.
Right.
And that brings us to, I think, another key aspect.
That's highlighted in our source material.
And that is the liberating power of letting go.
Okay, let's dive into that.
What do we need to know about letting go?
In the context of minimalism.
Well, it's not just about getting rid of physical possessions.
Oh, that's certainly a part of it.
It's also about releasing attachments.
To things that no longer serve us.
Okay.
This could be anything from outdated beliefs
to maybe even toxic relationships.
or commitments that drain our energy.
I can see how holding on to those things,
Whether they're tangible or intangible,
can really weigh us down.
and prevent us from living fully in the present.
It's like they say, right, holding on to anger is like drinking a poison and expecting the other person to die.
Like holding on to anything that doesn't serve us, whether it's a grudge or a closet full of clothes we never wear.
It just keeps us stuck.
Exactly.
And the beauty of letting go is that it creates space in our lives for something new.
Okay.
This could be new experiences, new relationships.
Or simply a deeper appreciation for the things that truly matter.
It's about aligning our actions with our values.
And sometimes that means making tough choices.
Like saying no to commitments that don't really align with our priorities.
Or letting go of items that maybe once held sentimental value.
Absolutely.
It can be challenging at times.
But the rewards can be incredibly liberating.
Imagine the freedom that comes with decluttering your schedule.
Simplifying your possessions.
Letting go of the need to please everyone.
Right.
It opens up space for you to pursue your passions.
Nurture your well-being.
Connect with what brings you genuine joy.
It's like we're clearing out the clutter
In our physical and mental and emotional spaces.
to make room for a life that's more aligned with who we truly are at our core.
Precisely.
Minimalism at its core is about intentionality
It's about designing a life that's rich in experiences,
and relationships and personal growth.
rather than one that's bogged down by excessive consumption.
And this pursuit of more.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
It's amazing how this minimalist approach can be applied to so many different areas of our lives.
It's a continuous journey.
Of self-discovery and refinement.
That's true.
And remember, there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
The key is to find what works best for you.
And your own unique circumstances.
As we wrap up our deep dive here on minimalism and happiness,
I want to leave you with a little something to ponder.
I want you to take a look around your own life
Your home, your schedule, your digital world.
and ask yourself,
Where could I benefit from a little minimalist thinking?
what one small change could I make this week to experience a little more freedom, a little more joy?
Keep that question with you and see where it leads.
And as always, thanks for joining us on the deep dive.